Hello everyone, in this quick tutorial I'm going to show you how you can design a matte glass effect, or in other words, it's called Glassmorphic effect. This is what our design will look like in the end, and let me show you how I did all this. So let's pick any icon that we can use as an example. I'm going to choose a star. Any star would do, so I picked the first icon library that came to my mind, so it's going to be remix icon. Let's make this, let's just give some color to the star. I'm gonna make it pink. I'm going to choose the brightest color as a sample. So in order to make the glass, I'm going to pick a simple rectangle, and I'm gonna place it on top of our star. So in order to give a matte glass effect to this rectangle, I'm going to give it some grayish white background and make it transparent, about 30%. And then I will just give it a background blur. The blur should be big, I don't know, 15 would be enough in our case. Just enough blur so that you can notice the effect, so that it's noticeable, but not too much, because you still need to be able to tell what shape is behind it. So this is not it. Well, first of all, a matte glass is for softness, right? It's about softness, so the shape itself needs to be soft. So I'm going to give it a border radius. But there are a couple of other things we should add to this in order to finish it. Well, glassmorphism is about skeuomorphism. It's about making things behave and act realistic. Well, for this, we need to consider the surroundings of this object. First of all, on the glass there will be a light shining on its surface, right? And it should be reflecting light. The light that comes to its sides, the corners, it should be reflected and be a bit lighter than the face of the shape. In order to imitate this, we're going to add a stroke, make it a linear gradient, and the bottom of it will be completely transparent, and the stroke itself should be a bit more transparent. This would be enough. It's visible, but not too much. And you can see that it kind of imitates the fact that the light shines from here, from the top, and it reflects back. It's just brighter than the shape itself. And we're going to add another thing. This time we're going to add a fill, which is also going to be a radial gradient. Again, white. And I'm going to just reverse this gradient so that the white part is at the center. And I'm going to put the brightest spot somewhere here in the corner, and the darkest spot on the other corner. It kind of imitates the fact that when the light hits the surface, it gets spread around from this part, because it's coming from this corner. We're just going to make it a bit more subtle, 50% I guess. And one more interesting thing we can add to this, in order to make it more realistic. Since the light is coming here from the top, it's also falling on this colored surface, right? And it should be also reflecting, it should be reflecting its own color around. So in order to imitate this, we're going to add another radial gradient to the glass. But this time for the color we will choose the color of the shape, which is pink in our case. I will do the same as I did with the previous gradient. The brightest spot we will put right there at the center of the shape behind it. And I'm going to make it even more subtle, something like this. And you can see that there is not only the light coming from the direct source of it and spreading around, but the light is also falling on the shape and falling on the glass above it. Now let's try to apply the same effect on another icon. I'm going to pick another icon from this library, and this time it's going to be, let's say, fire. I'm not going to do everything from scratch. I will just duplicate this one by Command D. and place it above the fire icon. And I'm going to give this fire a background. It should be somewhat yellowish, orange, and the bottom part should be closer to red. And it already works with the stained glass, except we just need to replace this gradient that imitates the reflection from the shape. I'm just going to pick whatever color is closer to the glass. And you can notice that the blur is too much, right? That's how you measure it. If you can't recognize what shape is behind it, then the blur, you probably applied too much blur. Let's reduce it to 10, and this time it's better. Now let's try to use this knowledge to create new icons and really apply this effect. Let's design a new icon based on it. I'm going to design a messaging app icon. So this is how it's done. I'm going to pick a rectangle and triangle, rotate it, and just connect these two shapes. This one is gonna have a little soft corner. And because we're making a Glassmorphic icon, then it means that all the objects in that icon should be skeuomorphic. Right, so we're going to use gradient for the background. A little fancy and bright gradient like this. And I'm just going to add 3 circles on it as a decoration. I will place it here at the center, align it. I guess I should reduce the space between them. And in order to make these circles interesting and more realistic, I'm also going to apply a gradient to it. Something like this, and give it a little shadow. Looks cool, right? And now apply our matte glass effect on it. So I'm going to duplicate this shape, turn it around, place it here, put it in front, and this should have a glass effect. It's easy. I'm just going to take what we already designed, and by tapping Command Option C, I'm going to copy its styles, and by tapping Command Option V, I'm going to apply the same styles here. I'm just gonna take back the border radius and just change the color. Again, I'm going to put the main color of the gradient closer to the object and clone the color that is closer to the glass. And seems like we're done. It looks, and you should play around with it more in order to find the perfect balance, because this seems unfinished, but you get the idea. Now let's design another icon, a simpler one, camera icon. I'm just going to pick again a simple rectangle and a triangle. This triangle will be the colored one. Let's make it, let's say, green, maybe greenish. And place it behind the rectangle, and again just Command Option C, copy the properties of this shape and place it here. Give it a bit more radius, and seems like we're done. We can also just, for more realism, we can also add some circle. And guess what? We're going to just copy the styles of this main shape and place it on this little circle. Remove the stroke because this shape is small. And this will be the button on the camera. You can also apply some drop shadow on it to make it more realistic. And here we go. a realistic camera icon. Oh, and I forgot to replace the color, the reflection on the glass, right? So I'm going to place the brightest part where the background is, copy the closest color, and we're done. Look how realistic it is.